It's Red Friday against everybody's favorite Los Angeles Chargers. The Chiefs have to get ready minus a man or two. We're going to get into all the details today on Locked On Chiefs.
From the land of the free and the home of the Chiefs, this is the Locked On Chiefs podcast.
Welcome back, friends and neighbors around Chiefs Kingdom and around the world. We're brought to you by SimpliSafe today. If you want peace of mind, somebody to take care of what's going on in your household, all you got to do is get 24/7 monitoring from SimpliSafe. Over with our code, we're going to tell you more. The code is Locked On NFL at simplisafe.com/LockedOnNFL. Chris is not at home, so he doesn't have to worry about security, but we are going to get into that. And the security of the passing game is in question today. We are going to get to that as well. We are here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day for free. This is the Locked On Chiefs Show. There's lots of others you can choose from. I have actually been into the Locked On Fantasy Hockey podcast lately. You guys got to check out the boys over there if you want to get right and win those leagues that you're in. I have a lot going on. I'm Ryan Tracy from Rogue Analytics, NFL 33, RGR Football, and currently snow plowing. How are you doing?
Well, as you can all see, I am not in my normal element, so I apologize for the visual. Best I can do right now, and audio is here is the best I can do as well. So trying to get this done, and really looking forward to this game. I really enjoyed the crossover podcast I did with Dan yesterday. So if you haven't checked that out, go check that out. A lot of good information in there, and a lot to talk about when we start talking about injuries, because the Chiefs have them just as much almost so as the Chargers.
Yeah,
that's not exactly accurate, but that's close.
What we thought was going to be advantage is not. Big news on Thursday, folks, is Mecole Hardman has been put to IR. That means a minimum of 4 games. And
for more,
Matt Derrick,
to be clear,
right?
Sorry,
as Matt Derrick pointed out, it is not retroactive. So it is from this point forward. It is a minimum of 4. So whatever this abdominal thing is, and that it's very vague, it's very unscripted. I had been leaning towards thinking it was something viral, something, gastrointestinal that you just have to work through. Evidently, this has to be more of a strain, and that makes a little bit more sense now because 4 weeks off to fix or correct an abdominal strain. Let's hope that it's not anything like a sports hernia or anything like that, because that leads to a longer time frame at the very least. Hopefully, they've made that diagnosis. But long story short, Juju Smith-Schuster's out with a concussion, and Mecole Hardman is out with this abdominal IR stint. So that leaves MVS, who did practice. I believe he was limited today on Thursday. And then you got a bunch of the new guys. So if you guys were wanting to see Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore, guess what? You're going to get your wish. How do you feel about that, Chris?
That's a big question, and I would agree. I think that Juju is going to miss this game. It just seems like it is trending that direction. It doesn't sound like there's any indication that he is going to be coming off that concussion protocol anytime soon. So I would expect him to be out this game. I will say this, based on the way he has played so far this season and based on what it appears he has when it comes to the playbook, it would not shock me if somehow he does clear protocol by Saturday that he would play Sunday night, because I think he knows the offense well enough. But I just want to specify, I don't see that happening. I think he is out this game.
Yeah, I agree with you. If it's just about volume and knowledge of the playbook, I don't think there's any concern there. I think it is all physical and all health-wise. So let's hope that he stabilizes and gets back quickly. But that opens up what the matchups are going to be. We're going to talk about in the next segment. But we do have to include that a couple of other things are going on that need to be noted. A knee for L'Jarius Sneed, light practice this week. And Thursday is the big day. So if you weren't a full go, you're not going to be a full go in anything that's meaningful. It's a walkthrough on Friday and then a day off on Saturday, travel, et cetera, et cetera. Jared McKinnon still has, and I hate it when I see this, the injury report has hamstring / shoulder. So that's 2 injuries at this point. He also was limited, and special teams is going to take another beat. A unit on this roster that probably can't afford to lose too much more talent. And Chris Lamons is still out in the concussion protocol as well. That's a lot of dudes missing just from a week ago.
It is, but let's not forget Sneed and McKinnon were both on the injury report last week. They both had limited practices on Thursday. They both went full on Friday, and they both played on Sunday. So I think that those two are probably going to be okay. I think this is more trying to monitor an injury and trying to give them kind of a little bit of rest than it really is anything else. And to be fair, when you start talking about a guy like Snead, having him do individual drills is probably okay. And giving all the reps to the rookies is probably a benefit for Kansas City, to be quite honest.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. They're going to figure prominently into the matchup segment we're going to do here on the back side of this. But Black Friday is coming, and we need to give you a word from our friends over at Tommy John, because now that it is Black Friday and it is snowing its butt off outside, I just came in from snow plowing. A lot going on there, but that is the time when you need to fight back. And layers are always a good thing in the winter. The most essential layer, we'll call it, is something that Tommy John does really, really well. And it's at this point, we got to talk about underwear. It's a Black Friday sale that's here for this super, super comfortable stuff from Tommy John. And you can save right now as you get brand new underwear, long johns, loungewear, even pajamas. If you need all those layers, which you do, you can find them all right now at a significant discount. Celebrate the softness season and with the gift that is close to your heart and close to your skin in Tommy John underwear, loungewear, and pajamas. They're the best gift that you'll ever give. And it's free, it's free guarantee. That is what you're looking for in promise on a product. Shop over at their Black Friday sale right now and get 30% off site-wide from TommyJohn.com/lockedon. Yep, that's a lot of ons there. Hold on. It's TommyJohn.com/lockedon, and that's how you can get it. See the site for all the details, but make sure you check them out and get something that's good for you. As we go on and we take a deeper look, missing players is one thing. Players that are mismatched are also something that we have to take into account. And this is, I think, a very different team from what we saw week 2. Obviously, the injuries are a lot of that, but I think the teams have kind of evolved in different directions as well. Do you?
I do think that they have. And the big question, and I saw this stat, and I'm trying to remember where I saw it, but Mike Williams and Keenan Allen have only been on the field for 43 snaps together this season. That's less than 5% of the snaps that they've had. That's a big problem for the Chargers, and it goes deeper than that because DeAndre Carter is also limited. Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, DeAndre Carter are all limited, and so is Gerald Everett. That is pretty much their top 4 guys that they have available right now, because they still have guys that are also on injured reserve. So let's not forget about that when it comes to the wide receivers or tight ends. And their backup tight end, Donald Parham Jr., that got hurt against the Chiefs last year in a very scary injury, is also in an injured reserve. So if Gerald Everett can't go, you're down to your third tight end there.
Yeah, I mean, and with those 2 tight ends, Jalen Watson's crying about what kind of opportunities he's going to have.
Yeah, pretty much. And so you're in a situation where you have to start looking at what are these matchups really going to be. Based on what Dan was saying, he thinks that Keenan Allen is probably going to miss another week, or if he does play, he's going to be limited in what he's able to do. They're limiting him at practice. We will see on the practice report on Friday if he's a full go or not. I would expect that the Chargers are going to go all in on this, and this is the reason why. Dan and I talked about this at the very end of the show, so if you didn't see it, you need to go check this out. But really quick, if the Chargers lose this game, they can kiss the division goodbye.
Yeah.
It's the reality. Chiefs
Everybody
go up
comes
2
to an
games in
end.
division. Well, yeah. I mean, Chiefs go 2 games up in the division on them. And obviously there'll be 3 games up in standings, but 2 additional games up in division on them.
Yeah. And that's at that point, you've lost your opportunity to make that ground up head to head. And that's really the only way you can overcome that kind of thing. When you're looking at a team like the Chiefs that you can project maybe a loss before the end of the season. You can't project 3. I don't think there's any way that you can logically say that. So it does, on the flip side of that, though, because of that situation, I do think it does make guys want to sell out for this ballgame, keep themselves in it, especially against the Chiefs. It's not Keenan Allen that scares me. And yes, you've heard me say this before, Charger fans. Keenan Allen still isn't the best wide receiver in this division, and he ain't ever going to be. Adams is still here. I mean, I'd still argue that Sutton is a more capable player at this point. But bottom line is, L'Jarius Sneed is there in the slot to take away what Keenan Allen can do. The question becomes, for me, is how can the rookies stack up against Mike if Mike Williams goes? Because Mike versus Josh, I think, is a really interesting contest in length and playing through the catch point. And that's the thing, is we look back on the way Josh Williams' season started for the Chiefs. It was always, He's playing 95% of the snap, and he's losing right at the very end at the catch point. And that's what Mike Williams does as his bread and butter. So I think that's a bit of a concern. I feel like Jen Watson is a little more crafty at this point, maybe a little less athletic. And that also doesn't give you the speed advantage from Mike Williams, but gives you a physicality advantage right there. For those two rookies who are going to play prominent roles no matter what, who do you like against Williams and who don't you?
Well, I said this. I'm sorry. I keep going back to the crossover. We talked about this exact thing yesterday on the crossover, and I will say it again. I like Josh Williams in that role. I think I understand he still struggles at the catch point, and that's a problem against Mike Williams. But is Herbert really going to push it if he's got a guy that's over there that's over 6 feet tall that's guarding him, that's probably going to be with him? I'm not going to say step for step, but right in his pocket in most situations. Is he going to continue to push it that direction? Because it's different if you're going, well, I understand that. But it's also different if you're going against a guy like McDuffie, who he's got 6 or 7 inches on. Or a L'Jarius Sneed, who he's got, a couple of inches on as well. So it's a little different when you're going up against the guy that has the height and length to compete like Josh Williams does. So to me, I would put him on there. You're going to probably have to double cover him, and that's fine. I mean, I'm good with that. But that length can be a problem, and this is going to be a good game for him. Even if he gets beat for 100 yards and a touchdown in this game, I think that's okay for Kansas City because I think they're going to be able to do enough on offense. I think that there's a lot of different things you can do on offense for Kansas City, and we'll talk about that in a second. But I think that you're also looking at a situation where Josh has to figure out how to play this game at this level against these types of guys, because I think this is one of the matchups that they drafted him for.
Yeah, I think that is the advantage that he has. What's Mike listed at? Mike Williams is listed as 6'4". Now that's an advantage. Trent's just a shade under 6. I think he came in at 5'1", 6 or something like that. So 5'11 3/4, something like that. So yeah, it's a significant advantage. And a lot of people were concerned about Trent McDuffie and his arm length going into the combine. I feel like he's outplayed that comparison because his ability to mirror and stay in phase, combined with his ability to leap, I think that kind of justifies the evening of that matchup. Do you, or do you still have concerns about Trent in particular if they get that matchup?
I don't like it just because Mike Williams likes to go for jump balls, and I still think that's a huge advantage for Mike Williams. I understand McDuffie can jump. I understand he stays in phase. He's always connected to the wide receiver. But if they're throwing a ball up there and it's hitting Williams in the hands at 8 or at 9, 10 feet in the air because he's going to sky up to go get the ball, I don't feel good about McDuffie competing in that regard.
Okay, I can certainly see that point. It becomes then a contest of how can you affect the passing game, maybe not at the catch point. When the Chiefs are on defense, I feel pretty good about that. I like Saylor, their left tackle. I think that's a matchup the Chiefs are going to be able to take advantage of. Now, on the other side, it's about who are they going to rush at? Andrew Wiley, who's got an elbow. Now, luckily, his MRI came back negative, and they feel they can brace him up, although it is a right arm on a right tackle, and that is a little bit more important. But it feels like, given the situation with Bosa not being available, that means Mac's going to be over there all day long. Am I wrong?
I wouldn't be surprised, but the Chargers are going to have a problem across their defensive line completely. I mean, it's not just Bosa not being there. I mean, they've lost all their defensive tackles. They cut Jerry Tillery, who the Chiefs put a claim in for, which I thought was interesting. Mm-hmm. But they're down to like their 6th defensive tackle for the year. They're promising rookie they just had. They lost last week to injured reserve again. So they're in a situation where their entire defensive line is going to be struggling. And the question is who are they going to put on the field and who's going to be coming after him? I mean, you're going to be in a situation where, maybe you have Mac going against Wiley all game long. But if you're Kansas City, this game plays into, I think, what you can do well against this Chargers defense, and that's run the ball. Mm-hmm. Use Pacheco.
Thank you.
Use a 2 or 3 tight end set because you're going to already be down wide receivers, and you can use those tight ends to catch the ball off the line of scrimmage or wherever you want to line them up. But go 2 or 3 tight multiple times in this game. I don't care if you run 20 snaps out of it this game. Make it one of your things that you're going to do. Go with the 6th offensive lineman at times if you want to. This Chargers defense is beat up, and if you take advantage of that, that is going to open other things up, and that's going to open up things for Kadarius Toney. It's going to open up things for, Justin Watson and whoever you have available. And we assume MVS is going to play, but that's a question right now too.
Folks, you did hear all of that correctly. Those words came out of Chris Clark's mouth, not mine. It wasn't me this time, but I wholeheartedly agree. I think that's got to be part of the game plan. We're going to discuss those points in the next. I'll tell you about a moment to give you a piece from our friends at BetOnline. It's the #1 source for sports betting news, info, and analysis. Anytime you want to get your money out on the line in a way that allows you to make some back, you got to check them out. It's the latest odds trends from every professional and amateur league that's out there. Too many for me to even name, and I don't want to get started about cricket. So even if it's esports, you've got it all at betonline.net. And if you love those podcasts, you can find those on BetOnline as well. We're always the fastest and easiest way to get your betting fix, get things out there. Head over to their website, which is easy to navigate from any mobile device out there. It's BetOnline, where the game starts. Where the game starts for me is exactly that run game and what it does to guard and build upon what the Chiefs just did. I do think that the play call has to change a little bit. I was happy with the balance last week, and I think that shows you what balance can do for you. I just think there's still opportunities there to actually run the ball rather than putting RPOs on the field where Patrick can say, I think I'm going to throw it.
And that's fair. What I would say also is that you have a guy in Kadarius Toney I think you can run the ball with as well. Mm-hmm. I think you can give him some snaps that you would normally give Mecole Hardman, or you would give, even some of the running backs to a certain extent. I think that there are different ways you can get him involved in this offense, and you can continue to expand what he's going to be able to do. He is now in a situation where he's going to basically be taking over Mecole Hardman's role for the next 4 games, at least. And we'll see if Hardman comes back. Well, yeah.
Because here's the interesting thing, and this is what I wanted to get to before we give you our predictions, folks. And if you want to give us yours, because I want to know what you guys think, leave it in the comments on YouTube and get subbed over there, as well as throw a like on this one if you would. We appreciate that, along with all the reviews you can do on the audio platforms. But for me, it's about role now. And Tony's been able to line up in the slot, but he can line up outside as well. He did that in New York some, and it can be effective. And the only reason that I bring that up is because I feel like MVS and Justin Watts are going to have a nice little rotation there. I'm confident in that. I feel like especially if the run game is there and the play action is just a little bit more effective, we all know from the statistics, you don't have to actually run the ball to have play action be effective. But it does increase its effectiveness when you are a good running team. So if they can do that a little bit and they can rotate those two guys, then it becomes a where's Waldo kind of situation for me. Because I think Sky has a unique opportunity here, a guy that people were concerned about coming off this last week, that he wasn't getting enough opportunity. Well, now he's going to get forced into it. And you're going to have Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore on the field at the same time, a number of reps this week. I'm looking forward to seeing what that looks like and how they use the guys individually. And I think they could be swappable.
Well, and I am here to tell you, I'm not so sure how many reps of those you're going to see. And I say that I do think that you're going to see it because you're going to have to out of necessity. But if Kansas City is playing this game the way I think they're going to want to play this game based on the injuries they have and the way to attack this Chargers team, I think you're going to see a lot of 2 and 3 tight end sets. You may see heavy run formations. And if they do that, they're not going to have those guys on the field that much together because they're not going to need those guys on the field that much together. I do think that if they bring the biggest key here, and one of the matchups we never talk about because it's always talked about on the crossover, is Derwin James versus Travis Kelce. It's huge. If he is able to man up and take Travis Kelce somewhat out of this game and limit him to under 75 yards, that's a good game for the Chargers.
It is.
If he doesn't get a touchdown and he's kept under 75 yards, that's a good game for the Chargers. If he is able to eat, that's going to be a problem because if you look at who else Kansas City is going to have available, Travis Kelce shouldn't be somebody that's beating them.
If they do it right.
Take him right. Exactly. So the question becomes, if you're able to do that and you get Derwin James on Travis Kelce and you're able to bring one of their other safeties down in the box because you're running the ball enough, that's going to open things up for the passing game. That's when you start beating them in the passing game.
Yeah, that's when Toney and Sky Moore both find a way to eat. If you get James into the box, I think that's the matchup they want. I think that allows them to use their slots in tandem with Travis to run past them when Travis takes all this attention that he's going to get. I have confidence in Bryce Callahan, but he's not elite. I'm really interested to see what Tony, if he gets matched up on Samuel Jr., happens, because two guys from Florida, they have probably a little grudge going. I can imagine that. But for me, it all comes down to, can this defense stop the offense of the Kansas City Chiefs? It's about Tranquil, who we saw make some plays early. He's made a lot of plays this season. And he's a guy that I think, if they're going to try to pull the old, let's double team and beat the snot out of Travis Kelce, he's a guy that's going to be involved with James over the top, over behind him, in which case I think they have to then go back formations, two tight ends on the other side, double receivers on the other side, and use that to their advantage. I think they're fully prepared for it.
Yeah, and I think this could be a game that it just gets really interesting for Kansas City, because this is the type of game that you did not expect them to have to be able to play. But with the injuries they have, they're going to have to be in this. They're going to have to be able to attack and change their game. And actually, I think this could help them for the playoffs, because it's going to expand what they can do on offense. And I think that actually could work to their advantage as well.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Your turn to go first on your prediction this week.
Because of all the injuries and because of all the questions when it comes to the Chiefs wide receivers and who they're going to have available, obviously Mecole Hardman's not going to be available. Juju's more than likely not going to be available in this game. There's still honestly a question about MVS to some extent. He was limited. You would expect that he's going to be able to be a full go and hopefully go on Sunday night. But if he isn't, that's another big question. I'm really leaning towards like 27-17 Kansas City. I would love to say that they're going to score more points, but with an injured offense, how's Andy Reid going to come out and how's he going to attack?
Yeah, I understand all of your concerns, and I can understand where you're coming from. I just don't feel that the defense of the Los Angeles Chargers is going to be enough to slow them down. It might look atypical, but I do feel like they still get the production and they break 30 points. The question is, can they withstand Mike Williams' return? And I am anticipating his return. Does Austin Eckler have one of those freaky games that he seems to have against the Chiefs? I think even if he does, they're able to wrangle him a little bit better because of the athleticism on the field with Willie Gay back. Nick Bolton's playing the best that he ever has in terms of attacking not just the run game, but the screens and the flares almost out to the sideline. He continues to improve in that capacity. And then if they're in base, I really like what we saw from Leo Chanel last week, both run and what limited he was asked to do in terms of dropping into zones. I think that could be an advantage, and you can get to Herbert. So in the end, it doesn't look pretty, but I do think that they still roll and score a lot of points. I see it 31-27 for the Chiefs. We both feel that they're going to win. Let us know what you think. What is this score going to be? And just how dramatic is it? Is this something that the final score looks nastier than it really is? That's going to be the question. Late game. But we will be live for you post-game with Matt Derrick. So be prepared for that. We'll give you all the latest. Hopefully this is a nice non-contest. Every now and then we get one of these, but the Chargers generally play this team tough. So let's hope that that's the way that it goes. We hope that you guys enjoy that. Get ready. Enjoy the rest of your Red Friday and weekend, and we'll be here with you on Sunday night post-game. Get ready for it. Chris, safe travels home. Thank you for being with us, everybody, today. And we'll talk to you next time.